Okay, so as we begin this presentation, again, it is an overview of the Cal State Applies do's and don'ts, and again, some helpful information that will help you when you're completing your Cal State Apply application. So here on the right-hand side is Crash the Cougar. It is our mascot at Cal State San Marcos, and he does make an appearance every year at commencement. Unfortunately, this year he was not there as we didn't have commencement for our students. However, we hope that in the future he will be present at future celebrations for our graduates. And so he also does make appearances at our events on campus. So if you're planning to be a cougar, keep an eye out at the various events or other activities so that you can go ahead and take a picture with him. So again, with the next slide specifically here, these are the items that you're going to want to have prior to starting the application, as it will make it easier for you. First, you want to make sure you have a copy of your unofficial transcript in high school, and also any, if you attended a community college, you want to make sure you have this transcript in front of you as well, so that you can indicate the courses that you have taken. If you took the SAT or ACT, you also want to make sure that you report these scores. Specifically for this year, we are not requiring students to submit the SAT or ACT. However, if you did take them, it would be considered for English and math placement. Again, making sure you have a copy of your social security number and have a method of payment if you don't qualify for the fee waiver, your parents' income information, and also their status, citizenship status. So this will certainly facilitate the process in completing the application. As you begin the application, you want to make sure that you indicate that you're interested in applying for the fall of 2021. So this is a specific year that you would be starting at the university, right, for the fall of 2021. Sometimes students will indicate a different date. And so just making sure you have selected the appropriate term that you're applying. So the application has been extended to December 4th. However, I wouldn't encourage you to wait until then to submit your application. Again, making sure that you do apply early. When you go ahead into creating your account for Cal State Apply, you want to make sure you indicate a personal email. And if you don't have one, you can certainly create one via Google or any other email as well. We don't encourage students to use their high school email, because that email you may no longer check after graduation. So just again, making sure you create a personal email and not your parents' email as well, because oftentimes students will have their parent create an email, and then by mistake, the parent might accidentally put one of the emails that we sent to you in the trash, which means now you may have missed an important deadline. So again, just making sure that you're responsible for all the communication that's sent to you via to your personal email. Specifically here, and a common mistake that we see from students is the account creation. So just making sure that when you're creating a password for Cal State Apply, that you follow the instructions in completing the minimum requirements that are required. Again, you want to make sure that you follow these instructions and that you don't create a password that is too complicated that you won't remember. And certainly making sure that you save your password somewhere where if you do need to come back to the application, you can certainly do so. So again, just making sure you create a password that you'll remember and that you save it in a specific area where you'll go ahead and remember. Specifically, as you get into the extended profile here, you want to make sure you indicate that you are applying, that this is your first bachelor's degree, right? You're seeking your first bachelor's degree. And then you want to make sure you're indicating that you're graduating high school senior with or without college coursework. Along with that, if you're taking courses at a community college, you would go ahead and indicate yes. Most of you may have taken courses via dual enrollment. So again, just making sure you indicate yes. When you get to this new section here, this is new for fall of 2021 via Cal State Apply. You can certainly do a search by program. So let's say, for example, you're interested in psychology as a major. So you can go ahead and filter by all the California State Universities that may have psychology. Or let's say, for example, you are wanting to pursue software engineering, then you would search for, it would go ahead and put a search for all the campuses that have software engineering. So this is a neat feature that will help you go ahead and filter out programs by the CSU that you're applying to. Specifically for the application, there are 4 quadrants that you will need to complete. So it will ask you for your personal information, academic history, supporting information, and program materials. So all of these quadrants do need to be completed with the exception of one, which I will mention soon. So when you complete one specific quadrant, it will go ahead and indicate, it will be highlighted in green, indicating that it's complete. If the quadrant is not completed, then it will give you a message indicating incomplete. So again, here in the example on the top, personal information and academic history, you can see here that the circle is not completely highlighted in green, therefore it's incomplete. So like I mentioned, all quadrants do need to be completed with the exception of quadrant number 3, which is supporting information. If you're not interested in applying to EOP, which I'll talk a little bit more about the program. So for again, quadrant 3, if you're not interested in EOP, you would simply indicate no, and it would complete that quadrant. As we move into quadrant 1, this is specifically where you're indicating your personal information. So you're indicating your biographic information, contact information, citizenship, race, ethnicity, parent guardian information, and also your financial and parental information as well. So specifically for biographic information here, it is required by our education code to ask this question. However, you can indicate that you're not sure, or you can certainly decline to state. Contact information here, we're requesting your home mailing address. So it's very important that you don't forget a specific number of your mailing address, otherwise you'll get a warning indicating that you have missed your specific home number. So again, it's important that you have this information because when we connect with you, we will be validating that this information is correct. With your citizenship and residency information, oftentimes we'll have students browse through this information very quickly, and they'll forget, or by mistake, they'll indicate that they're out of state, right? So taking the time to read through these questions carefully. If you get stuck answering these questions, certainly you can refer to the guide, the student application guide for freshmen that I'll go ahead and include in the chat at the end of this presentation. Again, it will help you to clarify any questions you have. With the parent guardian information here, this is new for the fall of 2021 because some campuses, as part of the admission criteria, they are asking for your parents' information again. So with this, it would be specifically to know if you are like your family income. So again, this is important that you indicate this information. Specifically, if you're a dependent student, you would be indicating your at least one of your parents here information in this section. So specifically, as we move on into your Social Security under other information, it's important that you include your Social Security and not your parents' Social Security number, right? So again, very important that you indicate this information there. So that way it allows you to proceed to the next section. If you are a DACA student, you would also be entering your Social Security number. And here it's basically reminding you that the statewide student identifier has moved under the student under Social Security number. For financial and parent information, again, as I mentioned, this is new for the fall of 2021. And this will not be considered as part of the application fee, as I mentioned earlier. So again, this is certainly you want to make sure you indicate your household income and also the size, right? So making sure again that if you are a dependent that you're entering this information correctly. Here specifically, as we move into quadrant 2, this is where you would be indicating your all courses completed for A through G and also courses that you've taken at the community college. Specifically here, your high school counselor may know your school's code. If you don't have your school code, you can certainly do a manual search, but certainly having your school code will go ahead and bring up your school and all the A through G courses that are available. So again, if you're not able to locate it, you would have to do a manual search to locate your high school. Specifically under academic information here, again, just making sure that if you have not attended school Iowa State, that you go ahead and indicate no. So again, just as a reminder, reading through the questions very carefully. Dual enrollment college coursework, again, specifically at the beginning, when I mentioned you want to make sure that you're indicating that you're graduating high school senior with college credit. Specifically here, all the courses that you have taken at the community college should be reported under the college coursework tab in the Cal State Apply. Also, with that being said, making sure that you're indicating specifically the appropriate A-G course that it will fulfill. And also just noting that specifically for any dual enrollment course that you took, it would automatically grant you a full year of high school credit for each college course that you go ahead and indicate on your application. So for colleges attended, let's say for example, you attended Palomar College, you would certainly want to make sure you indicate Palomar College, that you add it here. So specifically in entering coursework, we want to make sure that you enter all A through G courses, only approved A through G courses. So you would be including NP courses or health, right? So again, you're just specifically including for the application only A through G courses. However, let's say for example, in a middle school, you took geometry in your 8th grade, right? And your freshman year, you took algebra 2. Certainly we would want to know that in middle school, in 8th grade, you took geometry. Or let's say, for example, in middle school, you took Spanish, a year of Spanish, right? Certainly we'd want to know that information. On the application, you would not be indicating the middle school you attended. However, you would be indicating the specific course that you took. As we move on to the next section in your high school coursework here specifically, this is where you would be able to see where you could go ahead and indicate if you took geometry or that foreign language in 8th grade, right? Or 7th grade. Specifically for college coursework, specifically when you add a course, the neat thing about Cal State Apply that it will automatically enter the information and it will go ahead and indicate if it's a transferable course via our Assist data. So Assist is a great website where you can see which community college courses transfer to a California State University. So again, with the Cal State application, it will automatically filter through our Assist data. So specifically, you want to make sure that if you do have college coursework, that you refer to the transcript for the number of credits and units that you earned for that specific course. Also, with that being said, if the course is CSU transferable, you also want to make sure that you're indicating that, specifically under the transferable box there, so that you also get credit at the university for that course that you've taken. Here, the specific section is letting you know that, let's say you took a dual enrollment course to fulfill an A-G. If it is a college level transferable course, you would also be getting credit at the university, specifically for a general education requirement. So let's say, for example, at Palomar College, you took pre-calc. And so you would be earning credit for your math requirement at your high school, but you would also be getting credit at the university for your area before your quantitative reasoning. So already you could be completing a college level course and getting credit for that course as well. So again, very important that you know this information because you want to make sure that you do send a separate transcript for the course that you took at the community college so you can go ahead and get credit at Cal State San Marcos for that course. Moving on to when you're entering your courses, starting from 9th all the way to the courses that you have in progress for your senior year. One way to know if you've reported everything accurately, you can always refer to the A through G subject totals, specifically under A through G matching, right? So in the right-hand side, if you see that currently right now it still says 1 year, you want to go back and make sure that you've reported at least 2 years of history or social science. Again, English, you want to make sure that on the right-hand side it says 4. Math, that it also indicates at least 3. If you've taken an advanced math, like pre-calc or other course that's designated as advanced, specifically for your high school, it will exceed the 3 years. Sometimes you will see there that it says 5. If it's at least met or exceeded, that's great. Again, you want to make sure that you have at least met or exceeded, but that you're not under, because then it's letting you know that you haven't reported a course successfully. So again, you can always come back here to verify that you've entered everything accurately. Specifically for validation, this is something I always like to highlight because sometimes our students are not aware of this, right? So the CSU validation applies specifically for math, language other than English, and chemistry. So let's say, for example, math. Algebra 1, your first semester, you earned an F, but the second semester, you earned a B. The second semester of Algebra 1 with that B grade would validate the first semester of your F. Another example, let's say geometry, first semester you earned a D, but the second you earned an A. The second semester of your geometry course, specifically with that A, would validate the first. And let's say, for example, Algebra 2. First semester you earned a D, but the second you earned a B. The B in your second semester of Algebra 2 would validate your first semester, which would give you that entire year of Algebra 2, and would also validate your Algebra 1. However, let's say, for example, statistics was the highest math that you took, right? But you didn't do so well in geometry. Statistics only validates Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, but not geometry. So that means that you would be lacking 1 year of geometry. However, let's say you took an advanced math, and you can go ahead and view that information in UC doorways under your specific school. Let's say you took pre-calc, right? And you earned an A the second semester pre-calc. That would validate your entire math requirement. So just, again, making sure that you pay attention to these specific rules. Language other than English. It does have to be a second year of a language other than English. So just making sure you're in that second year of Spanish, second year of French, and that the second semester of that second year that you earned a C or better, so that it completes the entire language other than English requirement. Specifically for chemistry, this validation rule also applies. So let's say, for example, your first semester of geometry, you earned a D, but the second you earned an A. The second semester of your chemistry would validate your first, which means that you have met 1 year of your physical science. So again, just important to note. When you're indicating this information in your application, again, if you need to reference the student guide, it gives you step-by-step on how to complete this section, and the system should read that it's being validated, and also just going back to the A through G matching section to ensure that you've received credit. Again, as I mentioned earlier, specific for test scores, these are not considered this year for admission. However, like I said, if you did take them, they would be used for placement for English and math at the university, so that way we can know what specific math course you should be enrolled and what specific English you should be enrolled. For quadrant 3, that's supporting information, so this is specifically for educational opportunity programs. So how do you know if you qualify for EOP? First, if you're an AVID student, if you're an Upward Bound student, Talent Search, Puente, Independent, Mesa, or let's say you are also a college assistant migrant program student, meaning that you come from migrant farm worker parents, right? So if you do, then you would certainly be eligible for Educational Opportunity Program. It's a great program at the university. So certainly if you're interested, I would ask for your work information, extracurricular programs, hours, or participation and or leadership experience. Specifically here, it's giving you some additional information about EOP specifically and what the program is about. And then again, making sure that you follow through with the specific deadline for EOP. For the EOP application, again, if you are interested, you want to indicate yes. If you're not, then you would indicate no, and it would complete the entire quadrant for this section. As we move on to materials that would be needed from you to apply to EOP, certainly having your family information included in the year specifically. We'll ask for siblings education, college information here, household size, parent guardian information specifically, the estimated actual income for 2020, household size, so some similar information that has been asked from you specifically in the beginning of the application. Under the EOP biographical questions, you want to make sure that you are very thorough in your answers, specifically talking about any of your achievements, any hardships that you have overcome. Specifically here, you want to make sure that you're using complete sentences, again, and answering the questions at the best of your ability. With EOP, they also require 2 recommendations, right? So one must be from an academic counselor or a teacher that certainly can talk about your academic preparedness at the university level, right? And then the second one would be specifically from an individual who can comment about your potential to succeed in college. So just note that specifically for the recommendations, they cannot be from you or from a family member. So with the application, they will ask to include their names and email addresses on the application. As we move on to quadrant 4 under program materials, so this section specifically here, depending on the campus or major that you're applying to specifically, they may ask you to read through some additional information that you need to respond to. So again, typically this is, this may be specifically if you're applying to an impacted program at the university, so just making sure that you read through the information thoroughly. As we move on specifically to this section here, when you're getting ready to submit multiple applications, as you can see from this example, this student is ready to submit his or her application to 3 campuses, to San Diego State, Cal Poly Pomona, Monterey Bay. So just making sure that you successfully have completed everything for each campus that you're applying to. And also here, this student, it seems like he or she does not qualify for the fee waiver. So again, the total fees for the 3 applications is $210. So each application is $70 if you don't qualify for the fee waiver. And the fee waiver is based on family size and income. So if you do qualify for the fee waiver, then you would be able to apply to 4 California State Universities. If for some reason you feel like you entered the information incorrectly, certainly you would get a message saying that you're not eligible. And so let's say, for example, you feel that your situation, financial situation has changed due to COVID and you got a message saying that you're not eligible. Certainly you would have to contact the specific university that you're applying to, so that way you can complete an appeal so you can be considered for the application fee waiver. Next, before you submit your application, you want to make sure that in this specific section that you don't have anything specifically in red. If you have something in red, the application is telling you that you're lacking a requirement. As you can see from this example, this student currently has highlighted in red that he or she is missing specifically a year of English, right? So here, you want to make sure that you successfully can see that you have completed everything successfully, because if you go ahead and submit the application with still having an item in red, you may potentially be denied from that school. So again, just making sure that, again, you don't have anything in red. As we move on specifically into the warnings review here, you want to make sure that you review this information carefully. Specifically, it'll tell you to read and consent before you proceed to the next section. Here for the Cal State Apply, specifically if you're having any technical issues, you get stuck in a specific section, you can always go ahead and go to the Help Center for any support that you may need. If, again, you are having trouble, certainly I will encourage you to go ahead and reference the application guide that I will be providing at the very end. So with this application guide, you can reference for any specific questions you have. With this specific slide here, it's just basically going over information of the Cal State Apply application, any frequently asked questions that students ask about the application, virtual tours via each specific California State University. So again, I encourage you, if you're interested, to go ahead and explore and view those specific links. Lastly here, with specific information about Cal State San Marcos, if you're applying to Cal State San Marcos, again, you want to make sure that you apply early. So the application is from October 1st through December 4th. And financial aid as well. The application opened for FAFSA, Federal Student Aid, the free Federal Student Aid application on October 1st. So it's important that you do apply early to financial aid because sometimes by January, most funds will be gone by then, by January. So again, emphasizing that you apply early to financial aid. So it only takes about 30, 40 minutes of your time, but that will certainly give you peace of mind knowing that you've submitted, one, that you've submitted the application, and two, that you've gone ahead and done everything specifically to submit everything that's needed for financial aid. Along with that too, we did have an open house this past Saturday, October 17th. If for some reason you were not able to attend, no problem. We will have another open house on April. So again, be on the lookout for more information about our event in April. So again, this is a great opportunity for you and your parents to come and join us, listen and learn more about our specific majors on campus, specifically from our faculty, student support programs to help you succeed. So a great event for you to certainly participate. The February 15th was a previous deadline for SAT scores. Again, if you have your SATs, then it would be again used for English and math placement. If you don't, that's fine. May 1st is the intent to enroll deadline. So with this is basically indicating that yes, indeed, you will be coming to Cal State San Marcos. So it is $150 and it's non-refundable. It does go towards your tuition and fees. So again, just making sure that you do make a decision before May 1st. If you did get the fee waiver for the Cal State Apply application, then you would also go ahead and get the intent to enroll and enrollment deposit waived. So basically, when you have received your email from Cal State San Marcos, at the bottom in the Student Center, you would go ahead and click Accept Your Admission. And again, if you did receive the fee waiver for Cal State Apply, it would just go ahead and automatically have you submit without having to make a payment. So lastly, the July 15 is the final official high school transcript deadline. So you want to make sure that as soon as you've graduated from high school that you go ahead and send your final transcript, and this is when we're going to verify that you've successfully met all A through G courses with their C or better, and also verifying your GPA. So again, just making sure that you enter that, that you have that submitted soon. Also, what I wanted to specifically highlight specifically this year, specifically for admissions for requirements, again, you want to make sure that you have all A through Gs fulfilled with a C or better. So this year, again, due to COVID, we are not holding students accountable for the SAT or ACT. But with that being said, let's say, for example, you fall below the 2.5 GPA, additional supplemental criteria would be that you're first generation, low income, or foster youth. Even though the requirements are more flexible this time around, I certainly still encourage you to do your very best, because specifically if you're applying to an impacted program or any scholarships, right, you want to make sure that you're still, you still have a strong GPA and that you do your very best in your A through G courses. Specifically for the impacted programs at Cal State San Marcos, those are nursing, kinesiology, biological sciences, software, electrical engineering, and business. So again, just making sure that you do your very best. And next slide here specifically includes information of how you can connect with us if you have any questions about admissions, campus tours or virtual tours, financial aid, and certainly orientation. So I will provide this presentation to your counselor. And now, right now in the chat, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing the presentation. I'm going to go ahead and include some specific resources that will be helpful for you when you are completing your application. So 1 second. So the first document that I've included is the top freshman applicant do's and don'ts. So do review that handout before you begin, or if you're currently in the process of completing your application. And then also I have included the freshman applicant guide. So this is a 66-page guide here that will help you with any specific questions you have about the application, how to report your courses, anything that you may specifically get stuck with, you can reference here and it will guide you step-by-step process. So I know this has been really helpful for students in completing their application successfully.